Pumpkin Fest was feeling good today. She's on a roll. Nothing could stop her from cleaning out those cobwebs on the ceiling. She worked as a maid servant for the royal sisters in Canterlot Castle for only a couple days, and she enjoyed her work. There were times when she had difficulty before, but now she knew where the ladders were kept. Those clingy, dusty webs wouldn't know what hit them. She grabbed the end of her ladder with her teeth, wishing she was born a unicorn. Earth ponies don't exactly have more useful abilities than unicorns have, but they are darn stronger than most others. Still, it placed quite a toll on her neck. She halted underneath her objective and released her bite. Pumpkin felt an uncomfortable twinge in her neck and paused for a moment to relax her bones. She felt like an old mare, which is bad. At least she's young enough to not be confused with one. She grunted a bit as she lifted the ladder to stand-up position and started climbing up the steps. Halfway up the ladder, she suddenly had a feeling of dread, as if something horrible will come by her. "Tia, get back here!" A white blur swiftly flew beneath the ladder. Pumpkin screamed a little as she tried to keep the thing steady. As it settled down, another pony ran past the ladder. This time, the figure bumped into the ladder. As it tipped to one side, Pumpkin silently said a prayer, closed her eyes, and let the steps carry her to her doom. Instead of the hard surface of the floor, she landed on a soft, warm, plush form. As the ladder crashed with a clank, she opened her hazel eyes to see who her savior was. Her eyes met with a navy blue coat and a beautiful, starry mane that projected the image of the night sky. Her heroine turned around to face Pumpkin, and she met with the regal face of beauty fixated with concern. "Art thou all right, maid?" Luna asked. The orange mare could feel her face getting redder and warmer. Yes," she squeaked. "I am so sorry for being a burden, Princess Luna." "'Tis all right, citizen," she assured. Run by me again. What is thy name?" "Pumpkin Fest," she squeaked. "Ah, well, Pumpkin Fest. Please take care when my sister and I are on break. I assume some pony reminded you that was today, yes?" "Sorry, I'm new here." She sounded terrified. What's Princess Luna going to do to maids who can't do their jobs right? Luna, however, was happy that Fest didn't meet an unfortunate end. She gave the servant her most genuine smile and lowered her back and let her off. She gingerly got off the princess, careful not to move a single feather on her wings. Luna ruffled her wings a little and spread them apart. She bent her forehooves anxiously to catch up with Tia. "Well, Fest, do be careful. We'll like to use the entirety of the castle grounds as our playfields," Luna warned. Pumpkin slowly responded with a nod, and Luna gave her own nod and quickly kicked off from the carpet floor. She thrust her wings forward and left behind a gale of wind. Her gust shook the halls, threatening the vases to fall to the ground. Fest looked upon in horror and rushed to each pedestal to stabilize them. As she adjusted the last one, she sighed with relief. At least that's another disaster averted. As she rested for a moment, she remembered she needed to clean up the cobwebs. Pumpkin Fest groaned as she needed to put the heavy ladder back up again. She looked up to see where the cobwebs were, only to see that the ceiling to be dusted clean of its grimly wardens. Huh? Where did they go? Luna was very glad to have saved that mare from a trip to the hospital. However, she didn't let that small victory cloud her focus, as she wanted to catch up to her sister. She couldn't afford to let her get away after what she did. As she sped down the halls, veering left and right to avoid bystanders, she heard yelps and gasps as the ponies behind her darted away from her dash. As she felt the air around her move, she smiled as she could feel the end of her chase nearing. Celestia leaned against the wall as her lungs needed some much-needed air. That sister of hers was hard to evade, but even she felt the fruits of her labors as she purposely gave the latter a nudge. It was a bad habit of hers to cheat, even to the extent of using that poor pony as a part of her plan to distract Luna from chasing her. She couldn't imagine what horrors would happen if she were to catch up to her. She made sure, though, to get a visual on the victim of her distraction plan. It was Pumpkin Fest, right? I'll be sure to give her a bonus on her next pay. As she caught her breath, she looked behind her to see if Luna was up to her sneaking tricks. She hadn't caught a single spot of royal blue in the hallway. As she turned back to continue her run, she saw Luna strafing from the left hallway. She had a look of victory on her face as she slowly slowed her stop, leaving behind a large cloud of dust. "Halt, dear sister! You're going to pay for your actions!" Luna bellowed. Celestia cowered at the sudden surprise. This wasn't looking good for the cheater's future. She spun around and started to make a break for it, but was pounded to the ground by the force of the night. She could feel the sting of the carpet on her face as it was rubbed into its fox wool. She rolled over to see Luna with a scary look on her face. Her smile stretched from end to end, giving her a wild look. "Now, sister," she started, "you shall feel the wrath of Princess Luna." She raised a hoof as if to throw a punch. Celestia closed her eyes and waited for the inevitable. After what felt like a couple of hours passing, she felt a poke into her snow-white chest. "Tag, you're it," Luna said happily. Celestia tossed her hooves in the air as if she was hit by a fully charged magical blast. "Ah, you got me!" Luna gave her loving sister a slight, playful nudge. "Hey, it's just a sporting game of tag." She got off Celestia to give her room. "Surely you are jesting me that you gave it your all." Celestia chuckled a little as for her response. "Well, I am 1,000 years out of shape. There wasn't a pony that I could spar with. I fear I'm not as agile as I once was before." She looked at Luna with a quizzical look. "How were you able to keep your strength?" "Well, you did send me to the moon. There wasn't much to do there, so I flew around the moon each day." An awkward moment passed between the two as the topic of banishment was brought up. Luna let out a sheepish laugh, while her sister quickly thought of a change of subject. A golden-armored pony, however, came around the corner and coughed loudly to get the two alicorns' attention. "Your Royal Majesty," he said to Celestia, "the consul would like to have a word with you. It's an emergency concerning Philadelphia's banana plantation being threatened by a parasprite infestation." Celestia wanted to groan and whine, but she had to keep her calm, regal appearance. "Thank you, Royal Guard. I shall be there soon," she assured. The Royal Guard nodded and left the two sisters to their business. Luna looked at Celestia with a whimper on her lips. "Tia, you promised I would have the entire day with you. I'm sure those snooty council ponies can handle an emergency meeting without you," Luna said, with a depressed look on her face. Celestia only looked back with a sad face of her own. "Luna, you know I must go. The old colts will just argue back and forth until I come up with a solution. You know how they can get if I'm absent from the room. But, no buts, Lulu." Luna grumbled a little as she sat on her haunches. She turned away with a puffed face to make her look annoyed. Celestia sighed and gingerly sat next to her sister. Luna only scooted away and crossed her front hooves together, like a very grumpy princess. As Celestia tried to come up with a solution, she felt the presence of another pony behind her. She turned around to be met with a bright-coated, fluffy-maned Ponyville local, energetic party pony. "Hi, Princess Celestia!" Pinkie Pie grinned. Oh, hello there, my little pony, Celestia happily greeted. What brings you here? I just felt a frowny wowny in this part of Equestria, Pinkie Pie said, with a serious look on her face. My senses are telling me that they are off the charts, and it must be coming from an extremely powerful magical pony. So I came to Canterlot. She looked around, as if she was locating the source of the sadness. I tracked the distressing trail right around here, but I don't see a sad pony. Why don't you try looking over there? Celestia chided, as she pointed a hoof in Luna's general direction. A cloud of rain was pouring down on her celestial mane. It only lowered Celestia's sympathetic levels, as her sister had a bad habit of summoning rain clouds when she was in a bad mood. The small thunder in the pond of fluff only made the situation worse. Pinkie Pie stood back as she observed the problem at hoof. Two sad sisters, a royal guard colt's messenger, that room of angry old colts she passed back there. It could mean only one thing, and her wiggly ears and chest confirmed it for her. You two are having a nice day off from your royal duties, but Princess Celestia just received notice of an emergency meeting with Canterlot's council members, and Luna doesn't want you to go, because she'll be bored, Pinkie Pie deducted. Am I right? The rain cloud stopped pouring, as the two sisters looked at the party pony with wide eyes. It was unheard of, as they had never heard any pony piece together such a conclusion with such accuracy before. Pinkie Pie only gave them a simple smile. Yes, that is correct, Element of Laughter, Luna confirmed. Do you have a solution for us? Why, yes, I do, Pinkie Pie cheered. Princess Celestia, why don't you show her the joys of what video games could bring? Celestia's pupils grew big at this solution. Why didn't I think of that? She thought. Pinkie Pie, you are a genius. Thank you. No problem, Princess of the Sun. Pinkie Pie opened a nearby window and brought out a small cannon from mother knows where. Pinkie Pie aimed it towards the open window, got into the device, and held a hoof over its launch button. Well, my work here's done. Let me know what our gamer tag is. We should play together. Pinkie Pie pressed down on the button and was fired from the sky blue launcher. Luna looked out to see a pink blur going off to the rustic spot of Ponyville. Suddenly, a pink flash of a sonic boom went off in the distance. The citizens of Canterlot looked up at the skies above the town and wondered in awe of what it could possibly be. Luna saw odder things in her life and shrugged at the one-shot pink wonder. Sister, Luna asked, what did she mean by these video games? Well, Lulu, Celestia said with a gleam in her eye, how about I get you started with some Halo?